So I'm really curious, what have you heard while you've been here? What have you heard from small business owners about what they want from the SBA?
I think business owners want from SBA the help and assistance that we've been giving. What I've often said is that SBA is one of the best kept secrets in terms of business development, because you hear SBA, you think primarily of loans. But the emerging leaders programs, the mentoring that takes place with our source providers from SCORE, from our women business centers, from our SBDCs, it is so incredibly valuable to especially small business startups who might need some direction along the way about how to develop their business plan, to have experts take a look at their websites and give them insight on that, or help them develop a website. So I hear across the board what is helpful from SBA, whether it's navigating loan applications, whether it's really understanding the marketplace, which is really if they even should be in business or not. So it's very interesting.
And are those services free, or is there like a waiting list or something?
The services from SBA are free. To go to our resource partners, they are free. They are manned by volunteers who are willing to give their time to help the entrepreneurial spirit, because many of them have been in the same place themselves.
Wonderful. Now, I read that you were having some trouble getting fully staffed, and so I was just wondering if the slowdown in staffing has this affected you and your agenda in these first several months. Have there been any things that you have wanted to get done that you haven't been able to do because of that slowdown?
Well, I don't know that I would call it a slowdown in terms of staffing. The White House Personnel Office has worked very closely with us. There is a volume of folks that we would like to bring on, but really in our front office we're pretty much fully staffed now, and so we're looking forward to just continuing to do the kind of things that I want to do. Having my deputy in place, I don't have my deputy in place yet, but I have a great chief of staff who has worked tirelessly to make it possible for me to get out on the road like this. So I'm in the office about 1 week, then I'm on the road for a week, and it gives me an opportunity to really get out to all of our district offices and meet great entrepreneurs and business people, and to hear what their issues are.
And what is your, if you if there's one thing that you really, really want to accomplish during your time as administrator, what is that one thing?
Well, we are working on a whole new marketing program called SBA Reimagined. And as I mentioned, SBA has really been a well-kept secret. I want to make sure that we have the best marketing, the best messaging, and we're going to roll that out over the next year, probably next April, when we have our next National Small Business Week. We'll really be rolling out this whole new marketing and messaging, and our programs are really sound. When I travel the country and I talk about the different loan programs that we have, we really are accomplishing a lot. But I want to expand that base and make it available to more and more. And the way you make it available to more and more is that more and more people know about it. And when I was first starting my business, I didn't know anything about SBA. I didn't know about the opportunity to have a loan guaranteed that you might be able to then have more access to capital. So I think that's very important.
Is the money going to be there for additional loans?
Well, definitely SBA is going to have the necessary resources that it needs to guarantee those loans to the marketplace, and I'm excited about that. It's one of the things I asked too when we first came on board. But yes, those funds will be available.
And one thing we're curious about here in Oregon, our minimum wage just went up, and it's slated to go up every July. I'm sure you know, for the next few years here. And Seattle's minimum wage is at $15. And so, is the SBA monitoring the effects on small businesses of having these high minimum wages?
I do hear from many small businesses around the country that it's very difficult for them to get to some of the levels of the minimum wage. A $15 minimum wage in some areas of the country is really hard for small businesses to pay, because what that does is limit the number of people then that they can hire. So we're not creating more jobs, we're not growing that taxable base, if you will. And so I do think it's an impediment in many areas of the country. And it is something that we look at and we listen to and we advocate for on behalf of small businesses.
And what do you do when you advocate for small businesses in that area?
Well, it's not just about taxes, but what I am doing on this Ignite tour that I am on, and that's what we're calling this tour, we are igniting businesses all over the country to understand about SBA. And I listen to what our small business owners have to tell me. What's in their way, what's helping them, what more do they need? Is it tax reform? Is it regulatory reform? You know, what are those issues that we need to address? So I take that information back with me to Washington, and when I can talk to our representatives, you know, either in the House or in the Senate, and say, look, this is what I'm hearing. These are real people, real businesses, real jobs. And if we want to grow and make this different and really contribute to this engine of our economy, our small business and our small business growth, then these are the things we need to listen to and be aware of and change.
Are there any things in particular, any regulations or taxes in particular that you have heard from Oregon businesses that they would like to see changed?
Well, from a tax point of view, most small businesses that I've talked to have simply said, look, you know, reduce the rate. If I know what the rate of my tax is going to be, I know how to plan. But if I don't know what the rate is going to be, then I really don't know how to plan and forecast my business. So
in terms of the federal?
In terms of the federal level,
federal
yes,
rate,
that's
okay.
what I'm talking about. Mostly is the federal level. In terms of regulation, I don't hear about specific regulations as much as I hear about volume of regulations and having to comply and the amount of time and effort and treasury that it takes, you know, to comply with regulations. I think the president has signed a couple of executive orders that would reduce the cost of regulation by about $18 billion. Just the cost to comply is pretty astronomical. And small businesses can't hire large staffs of accountants and lawyers, you know, to comply with regulation. I was just at a beer brewery here in Portland, and I asked, you know, what kind of regulations are tough for you? Do you have any that are tough? And he said, well, I was held up for about 6 months introducing a new product into the market because my label kept getting rejected. My label kept getting rejected, but there was no advice as to what I needed to do to change it. It was just rejected. So through our research, we found out that we'd left a comma out of the text in one area on the label, and that's what caused it to be rejected. Now, you know, we need to do a better job than that in our regulatory environment.
Now, this is kind of a left field, but when, you know, as a female business owner, how should we, or how are you going to improve access to capital for women who are trying to start their own businesses?
Well, what we're doing in terms of helping women have access to capital is really to show them that process. That in our women's business centers, we take you know, our entrepreneurs who are looking to start their own business through the process. We help match them with our lenders so that the money that they need is available in the markets where they need it. Sometimes it's just education, sometimes it's the introduction.
Great, and do you have any advice for people looking to start their own small business?
Have a passion for what you're doing, because if you're an entrepreneur and you're going to get involved in your own business, it's a 24/7 job. And you'll be the CEO and you'll be the janitor. And you have to be willing to do all those jobs in between. You make sacrifices, you know, to your family, you know, to get your job going. But if it's something you're passionate about and something you love, it's not going to work. It's just something that's your passion and you do it every day because you enjoy it.